Hi, this is Chris Terrell with Everyday VBA, and in this video we're going to be doing a message box. The message box is going to say hello world. If you've ever done any coding, a lot of coding starts with the hello world message. So it's kind of a rite of passage. So we're going to be adding a module. We're going to be naming the module. We're going to be looking at the MSDN, which is the Microsoft Data Network. We're actually going to create the hello world message box, talk about message box options. We're going to set the response of the message box to a variable. We're going to show you how to run through that using F5 or just running the whole macro or just stepping into, I spelled that wrong, we're going to fix that. And it's fixed. Okay, first thing we need to do is we need to go to the Visual Basic Editor. You can go to your Developer tab. You can click on Visual Basic. You can also hit Alt F11, that's typically what I do. Now you'll notice that we've got one workbook open at this time. If you have more than one workbook, you're going to see those in here. You'll also notice that I do have this already saved as a XLSM file. You cannot save macros to workbooks that are XLSX file, and that is the default message. So you have to save it as a macro-enabled workbook. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a module. There's three options here. There's a user form, which you can do forms. There's module, class module. For the most part, you're going to be using modules. If you get into more advanced features, you can set up user forms. So we're going to click on that. What that does is it opens up into our code window. It opens up that module. Now we have that module here. It's called Module 1. We can actually rename that to Hello. We name that to whatever we want. Typically you would do that if you wanted to just basically remind yourself of what's in that module. Now a module can have multiple sub-procedures, so sometimes you may only have one, but it can be nice to rename those. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call we type in sub, and we're going to go hello world. Now I can name this whatever I want after the sub. The only thing is you can't have a space in it. So if I hit a space, it's going to turn it red. Anytime it turns red, that means that there's a problem and it can't actually compile that code. Now if I hit down, like I just did, you'll notice that it puts the parentheses and it puts in an end sub. Now in between your procedure, which is the sub procedure here, this is where we're going to put our code. Now we've named this macro hello world. Now if we come over here to our macros, we click on that, we'll notice that this macro is live and it's ready to go. Now I can click run and it's not going to do anything because I don't have any code in there, but you'll notice if I click run, it actually did go through that entire piece. It actually did not do anything, basically because there's no code in there. So what is a message box? A message box is pretty simple. I'm going to show you something really quick. This is the Microsoft Developer Network. And what you would do typically is you would just do a search on VBA message box. And typically I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for the MSDN, or I'm looking for, which it doesn't show up here, is I'm looking for Stack Overflow, which are both really good. But the MSDN is from Microsoft, and it gives you all the details of a function. So for example, the message box function gives you all the detail. The link is below this video. But you'll notice it tells you the syntax, it tells you all of the constants, it tells you all of the responses and what they return are, and it gives you a lot of detail into that function. Now sometimes it's helpful to have context behind this, which is why I use websites like Stack Overflow. It just provides some perspective. So you can go ahead and take a look at this, and you can kind of develop to your little heart's desire. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a message box. Now the first thing we're going to do, you can create a message box two different ways. You're going to MSGBOX. Now if I hit space, if I'm just putting in just a message box that I don't want to return the response, I can do something as simple as this. Message box space quote, which is what's going to be returned in the message box when I hit that. Now you'll notice that I don't add anything else, and I'm going to hit F5 and it's going to give me that box and it's going to say done, and I've got Microsoft Excel up there. I can click OK, and that's all that this macro does. Now we can also do a couple other things. That's the prompt. The other thing that you can do is you can do different styles. So we're going to do VB OK cancel. So now this would make sense that instead of just having the OK, it's going to have cancel. Instead of this, we're going to type in hello world. And so you'll notice down here that I've got what my prompt is. I've got what my button is, which in this case I did VB OK only. And I also have a title, which is hello world. And right now I've got a message box that when I hit F5, I can either hit F5 or I can hit play here. It does the same thing. The other thing I can also do is hit F8. F8 goes through a single line at a time. Now you'll notice that in this case, now it says hello world, and I've got done there, and I can hit OK and cancel. So we've got just a simple basic message box there. Now a lot of times you're going to want to do something based on the response of the message box. So we would want to say, you know, wait a sec, if someone says OK, I want to be able to say, if they say OK, I want to do something. If they say cancel, I want to just exit the sub or get out of the procedure. So in that case, what you have to do is you have to put it into a, you have to pass the response to a variable. And so typically what I call those is inbox, just because it's easy for me to remember. Now I'm going to hit down. It's going to give me an error. And I know exactly what that error is. And that's because anytime you're passing a function to a variable, that function has to be in parentheses. So I've got those in. You'll notice that that disappears. What I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, I'm going to go make another message box, inbox, msgbox, and my prompt is actually going to be this variable. And I'm going to type in the response is, and I'm just going to type and I'm going to basically tie this string together. So I'm going to go VB OK only, and I'm going to go response. So now if you think about this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this. It's going to send in it's going to give me a message box, and I'm going to have the choice to check either OK or cancel. Now based on what I click there, it's going to give me the response. Now the response, this may be a little counterintuitive, but if I go back to my MSDN, you'll see that if I click OK, it's going to return 1. If I hit cancel, it's going to return 2. If I hit abort, it's going to return 3. If I hit retry, 4, and etc. right on down this line. So let's go ahead and run it. So I'm going to hit F5. I'm going to click OK. Now we would expect when I click OK, based on this response, that I'm going to say that I chose 1. So I'm going to click 1. The response is 1. I'm going to click OK, and my macro is finished. Now let's get a little fancy here. Let's say we want to put in a critical alert. The critical alert is that annoying one that basically yells at you when you click it. So the options that you have here is you can do whatever your buttons are, and then you also have a couple options as far as what to put. And you have VB critical, you have VB informational, and I think it's VB explain. So we're going to go ahead and go through this. You'll notice that I get that little red X that says, hey, you're doing something bad. I'm going to click cancel this time, and when I hit cancel, what it's going to do is it's going to return, instead of 1, it's going to return a 2 in my other message box. Hit F8 again. I can hit F8 or F5. It's going to say the response is 1. That didn't seem right, so we're going to do that actually again. F5, I'm going to hit cancel. It says the response is 2. So I actually just clicked on the wrong button. It's working very, very well. So the other thing I want to show you is VB. So I'm going to come back here. I just went ahead and deleted that plus, because then it pulls up my IntelliSense. So it's very helpful. And we're going to do VB. I'm going to again backspace that comma so that my IntelliSense comes up. It just makes it significantly easier. So we've got OK only, we've got retry cancel. So let's go ahead and retry cancel and see what that looks like. So I got the informational, which is the plus right there. Nothing's changed. I've got retry and cancel. So I'm going to click retry and retry. The response is number 4. So what we've gone over today is just basically how to set up a macro. We ran one here. Now this isn't super functional, but the next course that we're going to look at is basically recording macro. We're going to dig in a little deeper. We're going to create some stuff that's pretty useful. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.